In this video, I am going to talk about some recent issues in Nagaland and some of the issues and discrimination faced by the people of Nagaland and how it affects our spirit of unity in diversity. Recently, we have seen in the news that 14 civilians were killed by security forces in Nagaland, and subsequently, there was a demand for repeal of Armed Forces Special Power Act. And this demand is not new. The people of Northeast has been demanding it for a long time. So, what is Armed Forces Special Power Act and why it was enacted? See, when India attained independence in 1947, there were some separatist movements going on in the country, demanding for separate nation. Such kind of demand was also raised in the state of Nagaland. Whereas over a period of time, this separatist movement in Nagaland took the form of armed struggle. So, in order to counter and suppress this separatist movement, AFSPA was enacted in 1958. It was meant only as a short-term measure. However, now it has been in force for almost 6 decades in some states of Northeast. Now, who can decide about the applicability of this act? Both central and state government has the power to decide if an area is disturbed. Once it is declared, then AFSPA will come into force. And most importantly, this declaration is not subject to judicial review. As we have seen in the news that there has been demand for repealing of AFSPA for a very long time. So what are the problems and issues associated with AFSPA? The act itself says that it has special powers such as the power to search and arrest without warrant, power to shoot, to kill, etc. The biggest issue is that there is very little to zero accountability for the acts committed by armed forces. So there is lack of accountability, like torture, killing, rape, etc., are some of the allegations against the armed forces. And also, reports on prosecution of the military personnel who indulged in such crimes is also very less. The act requires prior permission of central government for such prosecution. So these are some of the key issues associated with AFSPA. The question is, AFSPA was enacted to counter and suppress the separatist movement and make sure that Nagaland is a part of India. But has the government succeeded in that? And if so, at what cost? What was the price given by the people? Apart from the known brutalities of armed forces, killing of innocent civilians, the people have paid and lost much more than that, so as to be accepted and included in mainstream India as Indians. People have certain perception about Nagaland. For example, when you say Nagaland, there are certain things that comes to the mind first, like dog meat and their mongoloid racial characteristics. Because of their dietary practices and racial characteristics, the people of Nagaland face discrimination and are subjected to hate crimes till today from mainstream Indian society. But practically, there is a geographical reason for their dietary practices. Unlike the mainland India, which are plains, the northeast has a hilly topography, which makes it unsuitable for cultivation of staple foods like rice, wheat, etc. And cultivation of plant-based proteins also very difficult. So this hilly terrain has heavily influenced their dietary practices, and so they obtain their protein from various animals. And so meat has become an essential diet in Nagaland. Dog meat was their cultural food since ages due to availability and other cultural reasons. Recently, there is another news that government of Nagaland has banned the consumption of dog meat. What do we infer from this? What does it say? It shows the desperation and insecurity of the people of Nagaland. It shows that the government of Nagaland, politicians, and the people are desperately trying to be accepted into the mainstream Indian society. They are trying to erase a part of his own culture and apologize to India for its food habits. As I said earlier, apart from losing their lives, going through brutalities, and now they lose their part of their culture to be included and accepted in India as Indians. So here is the paradox. The government of India is desperately trying to include the territory of Nagaland by using AFSPA and other means, and they have succeeded in that too. However, the people of Nagaland are still desperately trying to incorporate themselves and to be accepted into the mainstream Indian society at any cost. And has they succeeded? The discrimination faced by the people of Northeast from the mainstream Indian society questions this success and also questions the very spirit of unity in diversity. Samuel P. Huntington, an American political scientist, argues that future wars would be fought not between countries but between cultures. So, to resolve this conflict, we need a society of information, communication, and education. This is where the Government of India's program Ek Bharat Shreshtha Bharat comes into play. It aims to enhance interaction and promote mutual understanding between people of different states through the concept of state pairing. So it is high time that the government works intensively and extensively on this program to remove prejudices and create a new and vibrant India. Thank you.